down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, welcome to another exciting edition of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt,
And I'm Brezzy.
and we are here today with Eric Miller. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And Eric, you wear a lot of hats in the horror industry. It sounds like you've been written for you've been a writer for some movies and you've edited some horror anthologies, and it sounds like you've been involved in some production work and some other things. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have to wear a lot of hats because I have a lot of hair, so you gotta cover it all up there. Yeah, a lot of different hats, not just in motion pictures, but also in publishing. Like you said, I like to stay busy. First and foremost, for many, many, many years now, I've been working behind the scenes in film and TV. Lucky enough to have jumped in the car after college a while back and said, I want to make movies. I dreamed about it, and somehow I've carved out a career and achieved a lot of things that I didn't imagine I could have. Other dreams went away, but in general, I'm well respected, and I've got to work on a variety of films and a lot of horror stuff, and made a lot of horror friends. And on the publishing side, and in between that, in between working on crew, I was always writing screenplays. Writing has been my passion since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And
Mm.
so when I got to Hollywood, I got an internship in development, learned all about screenplays, started studying, and started writing my own. It took about, I don't know, 6 or 8 years to get my first film made. And so far, I've had six scripts made with my name on them. Some are
Nice.
shared credit, some are me by myself. And there's others out there that I've done rewrites on that I kind of did my best to save them, or for various reasons. We don't really
Right.
talk about those. It's
Yeah.
kind of a professional thing. And then
Yeah.
on the publishing side, going through varying degrees of working on crew, writing scripts. I always wanted to publish books, always wanted to write books. So writing short stories, again, since I was probably 6 or 7 years old, I think I put it in my latest bio, if it's made it in the website redo, that I wrote one of my first stories was grade school. I wrote a story about a sentient executioner's block
Yes, I
that
saw that.
was
Yeah.
cackling when the blood soaked into it, and I think I got a parent teacher conference out of that. It was exciting.
Nice.
Love the attention. So I can't remember if it's the teacher or the principal, but whatever the story goes. But I started writing short stories and wrote those in addition to screenplays, and eventually I just kind of drifted back into publishing, and I started Big Time Books, my small press. Little small press is redundant, and
Yeah.
so far I've put out four anthologies, two in the Hell Comes to Hollywood series, and then two in the 18 Wheels trucking horror and science fiction series. And then my novel, I finally got off my ass and said, hey, you better finish that damn novel. And here we are.
Nice. And what's the novel called?
The novel is called Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed.
Oh, cool. See,
Yeah.
the 18 Wheels, those books look interesting to me. I like trucking and sci-fi and trucking and horror. That sounds like an intriguing concept to me.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's fallen by the wayside a little bit now. I mean, the mystique when I was growing up, from Smokey and the Bandit, and all the truck and Duel and other things.
Oh yeah.
There's still a great mystique out there of being alone on the open road. And one of the sayings in writing, I'm sure you've all heard a million times, is write what you know, or in my case, edit what you know. So
Hmm.
the first two books were Hollywood, Hell Comes to Hollywood. I knew Hollywood very well, and horror. But then
Hmm.
I also do transportation, which is kind of a not real publicized part of movies. And
Hmm.
I've lost count of how many I've done as a transportation coordinator, captain, driver, behind the scenes, real behind the scenes, making sets run. And
Hmm.
so it's like, hey, I know trucking. And so that was kind of a natural, horror and trucking. And to date, 18 Wheels of Horror has been my most successful book.
Oh,
So really,
awesome.
really proud of that.
Have you
At one
done
point, I
any
think,
have you
go
done
ahead.
any like horror comics?
Haven't done comics yet, no. I wish. I wanted to be an artist when I was younger, and I sucked at it. So I have a lot of artist friends, but it's so involved to actually do the art and all that. So I would love to have done comics or done graphic novels. It's just it's hard to do, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I have a weird thing when I'm doing a book, I like to pay people. And even
Right.
though it's not anywhere near what they really earn, even writing a short story takes probably,
Mm-hmm.
tens to 100 hours if you're obsessive. And
Mm-hmm.
art is even on the next level. And so it costs money, and I'm sure I could find somebody to work cheap or free. And but I'm a little reticent about that.
So when with the editing process, is it do you do any rewriting of the stories at all, or do you
I I
reorder
try
things?
I try not to. There's been a few stories where the writer was just too doggone busy. So
Hmm.
when I have a book, I have the idea first, and I go out to a limited number of writers. I'd never done a giant cattle call, like put it out on the internet and have thousands of submissions come in, like I've
Right.
submitted myself to and been rejected a million times, like most people have, most writers have. So I go to a limited number of people. I tried to kind of approach in each one as kind of a star writer, or someone that I'm, whether they're not a big name or not, but someone I really, really like and may not know. And
Hmm.
through that process, I got to know two people that I didn't really know. 18 Wheels of Horror, I got to know Ray Garton pretty well. I grew up reading him. He was friends of friends, and just sent a query to him, and he was gracious enough to write an amazing short story for 18, that opened 18 Wheels of Horror. And then in 18 Wheels of Science Fiction, I got to meet John DeChancy. I grew up reading his science fiction novels, and turns out he lives out here and nearby, and contacted him through various means and said, "Hey, giant fan doing this." And he's there's not a whole lot of science fiction trucking out there, but there's a bit. And he was kind of amused that somebody out there was still kind of doing it. So he kind of extended his novel series into kind of the next generation of it. So I was really thrilled about that. So to answer your question, yeah, I find the writers, I find the stories. I give them notes. Sometimes they come in absolutely perfect. I'm sure I apologize to some of the writers. Some of them may have wanted to kill me. Not micromanaging, but there's certain things that I would like to have. And sometimes, honestly, when like the Hell Comes to Hollywood books, in screenwriters, we don't have to necessarily follow the same grammatical rules that prose writers have to follow. And that's no shake on them. They're terrific storytellers, and a lot of them write fantastic in their medium. But it comes down to, hey, we have to follow this rule and that. And I fully admit I still have participles dangling places
Yeah.
and things. I'm probably still giving my English teachers a rolling over in their grave somewhere at a few things. But so in that sense, trying to just I give the notes to the writers, and then hopefully they'll correct them. And I do give full permission to say, hey, F off. I like this the way it is, and I'll walk the heck away. So it's a real collaborative process on the short stories, and it was actually really fun. Again, getting to know I think one friend in particular, I did drive a little bit crazy with notes, but we've hashed it all over now. And but the goal is to make them look good, make the book look good. And I want it, even though it's a small press, I want the books to come out to be professional level, that you could pick it up at the Barnes and Noble or next to any other book, and it's going to stand up from the cover to the printing to the finish to the stories themselves, which are most important. And that's proud of that. The first, and as such, the first one, Hell Comes to Hollywood, was nominated for a Bram Stoker Award, which was
Awesome.
shocking, and I'm still thrilled. And then I believe Hell Comes to Hollywood 2, two stories, a long fiction and a short fiction, were both nominated for Stokers.
Oh, nice.
And 18 Wheels of Horror, my friend John Palisano, great, terrific writer and good friend I've become really close to over the years. And his short story, Happy Joe's Rest Stop, won the Stoker for short
Oh,
story out of
wow.
Wheels of Horror. So I'm like, hey, I'll 100% credit to them, but also I can't help but say, hey, I must be doing something right,
Exactly.
or at least picking the right stories. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I do got a question. So when I was reading like on like your bio, it said best horror of the year, the Halloween Tales. And underneath that, Silver Screen from Crystal Lake Publishing. Can you explain about that?
yeah, Joe Meinhardt runs Crystal Lake Publishing, and he contacted me years ago to just do. He was doing a nonfiction book on the Silver Screen about horror writing and screenwriting. So I wrote a chapter basically for that. And I had one, actually, I stuck one of my own stories in one of the anthologies, and I got a recommendation by Ellen Datlow, I believe it was Ellen, in the best horror of the year that comes out. All the editors take a look at everything that's come out over the year. So again, really proud to have just gotten a recommendation to say, hey, Siren is a really, really good story here. So that was wonderful. And I'm forgetting the other one. What was the other one that I should know because it's my career?
Um, I've seen the Halloween Tales and
Oh,
then
Halloween Tales.
yep.
My friend Kate Jones, wonderful, wonderful editor and writer, who's actually had stories in my anthologies also. She was doing a Halloween anthology and contacted me, like we do, like I'm contacting her for a story, and she said, "Hey, do you have an idea?" And at first, I didn't have any idea because I rarely write to a theme.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people can just do that. Probably twice in my career, this one and then one other story that's as yet unpublished, where somebody said, "Hey, here's the idea. Could you write this for an anthology?" And in those two instances, and in the Halloween Tales, I went, "Ooh, a pumpkin screaming when somebody sticks a knife into it."
Yeah.
And from I had that image, and I didn't have a story at all, but then I actually managed to spin a nice little story off from that.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and the other one was I submitted. I think a whole lot of people did years ago. There was a call went out for pizza horror stories for an anthology. My story didn't get picked. I get it. They wanted serious ones, and I always inject humor in. But it's to this day, it's one of my favorite stories that I've written because I based it upon a pizza joint that a bunch of friends worked on back in the day, and the characters in it are not so loosely based on some people I know, and it's just full of snappy slapstick dialogue, humor, making fun of horror, making fun of Lovecraft, making fun of loving fun of geeks and D&D geeks and all this stuff
Heck yeah.
while we
Mhm.
have to make a magic pizza and deliver it to Yogg-Sothoth by midnight or the whole world blows up. So I understand why it didn't make the anthology, but again, I out of that prompt, I wrote a cool little thing. And the
Yeah.
pumpkin story for Kate's Halloween Tales.
Nice. So what was the first screenplay you ever sold?
The first one I sold was co-written with a co-writer, Justin Stanley, was
Uh-huh.
The Shadow Men.
Okay.
And it is a Men in Black tale. A family threatened, see what they think might or might not be a UFO. They try to tell the story, and the Men in Black come. We had the title Men in Black before Men in Black.
Ah.
Justin and I were both big UFO fans and Men in
Mhm.
Black and the whole mythology, and I tried to make it as realistic as possible. Who knows if
Mhm.
there are Men in Black? But the title got changed. I think Sony had this other little independent film called Men in Black that they had a better title for. So it's called The Shadow Men. I did quite well. Dean Stockwell was in it. Eric
Oh,
Roberts,
cool.
Sherilyn Fenn. Great cast. It was a wonderful cast, and Justin and I were actually invited to the set, which sometimes never happens in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Get those
Yeah.
damn writers out of here. They might mess something up. But we got to hang out on the set, and it was very much an indie film made by Promark and Spectacor, two indie companies, but
Mhm.
it was straight to video in the best way. It went to video DVD. It was big international sales, and it was kind of again got a lot of acclaim. And somewhere here I have a 6 foot tall poster that came from I think France or something that I keep meaning to get framed, and then I don't remember or can't think of where the hell would I hang it because it's
Yeah.
bigger. But that was the first one that I did,
Nice.
and before that, I had written 5 or 6 or more. I had to actually count recently. Somebody asked me how many screenplays I'd actually written, and you put on the thinking cap, and I
Mhm.
actually had to go back through the file. And I mean, I think I've got a pretty good hit rate. I think I've written over 30, somewhere around 30,
Oh.
and six or so got made plus others, and that's
No,
not
that's
too terrible for
that's
Hollywood. So.
heck yeah.
So out of the list that I have, like the Shadow Man, Mask Maker, Dark Skies, and Swamp Shark, which one of those do you like the most? Like, what's your favorite?
You know what? I've got to go back to the one you didn't mention, or maybe you did. Ice Spiders.
Oh
Which
yeah, that's
yeah, that one got the most acclaim, and I had worked as crew and knew the producer Jeff Shank for years, and he actually was trying to option a werewolf script that I'd written, and it was already under option to somebody else. And all credit to Jeff, he knew a producer and got me. I got the writing gig to write Dog Soldiers 2. Giant fan of the first movie.
Oh yeah.
The
mm,
script and the whole thing's been stuck in development forever. I know it's been a long time, but I did my absolute best. It was the producer's idea, but I tried to write as a giant fan the next day what happens in Dog Soldiers to these guys and continue the legend. And hopefully one of these years it'll get produced, either my script or not. But Ice Spiders is the favorite. Sorry, Jeff had just called me out of the blue, I think, and he said, "Hey, he was a Sci-Fi Channel approved producer, and they usually have their own process where they go from title to log line to treatment to final script. They've got a bunch of stages. And Jeff called, and I guess because he was had done a lot of them and they really trusted him, he just said, "Hey, I got the script. I'm going to pay you to write this." And we have the title Ice Spiders. And I think he had said the two things that they wanted were the image of a giant spider going down the ski line at a ski resort, and open the movie with two hunters hunting something but getting hunted themselves. And other than that, it was up to me. So in this case, I have to take complete blame for all the great stuff, but all the cringy fun stuff in it too at the same time. So. But it was a lot of fun, and I got partially the reason that it's just a fun movie. I love monster movies, grew up loving them. Giant Godzilla fan, among others, and also, but I got a decent paycheck out of it, hanging out with friends, and they flew me to Utah to a ski resort, and I got to hang out with the actors. Patrick Muldoon was wonderful, everybody there, and the big one for me, I've told this story a lot, was Stephen J. Cannell. The giant writer producer of pretty much every TV show ever, and also mystery novels and stuff. And he just liked to be on set. So he was kind of in the winding down of his big days producing and just enjoying life. And he would just take a part. And to him, it was like, "Hey, let's go to Utah and I'll play Frank the ski coach." And so I'm hanging out in the thing with Stephen J. Cannell talking about his days in writing and everything. It was a treat.
That's awesome.
And then it became, I think for a while, if I had the numbers right, it was the number 2 highest watched movie in Sci-Fi Channel history. And then Anthony Ferrante and the Sharknado kids came along and blew every record into the weeds. So,
right.
but for one brief moment, I
blew it out of the water, no pun intended.
And got to work with Tibor Takas again. I loved his work as a director, and here he's making the movie that I'm writing. So it was, very low budget, a lot of challenges on it, like any independent low budget movie. But it was just the whole thing, and the script's fun. I just had fun with it, and had to sneak jokes in when and where I could, and. They did really good casting that really played the parts well, I think, too. So, and again, is it ludicrous? Of course it's ludicrous. It's giant killer spiders at a ski resort. But I tried to have fun with it, and I think Tibor did. Everybody, the actors, and particularly Patrick Muldoon, just had fun with it. And that was, again, it kind of, I still say the name, and people are like, "Oh my God, I just watched that." So it's a hoot.
Nice.
And it's got some of the best 1-star reviews I've ever seen.
Hey, that's all right though.
Oh, I love those because, like I say, there's one particular one on there. This guy gets me. He understands me. So,
when you said they wanted 2 things, I thought you were going to say it's called Ice Spiders. We want 2 things: ice and spiders.
And spiders, yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, I can't remember if I made a really strong argument to call it snow spiders because it's snow and it's alliteration.
Right, exactly. That makes way more sense.
Whatever.
But hey, it was a hit, so you can't argue with
channel.
success.
I don't. I'm just the dumb writer. So what do I know? So.
Well, you mentioned Dog Soldiers 2, and just last week we talked about the movie Bad Moon, the werewolf movie, and we were talking beforehand about werewolf movies, this and that, and we were like, The Howling and this one, and then we were like, Dog Soldiers is a really good movie. That's really good.
Dog Soldiers is a really good movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, and it does things in it. Again, first and foremost, I work in it, I write things, I work on sets, but I'm a fan. I grew up a fan, and when I see a movie like Dog Soldiers, just all hats off to the creative team and everyone. And it's different, it's fun, the actors are amazing, and I think they had some of the usual problems, just like Bruce the Shark and everything. The werewolf things didn't work as well, so they had to shoot around it, if I remember that correctly. But there's points in there where I think it's not the spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen it, but forgetting which character, but when they're cornered in the house and whichever character badass soldier gets locked in the kitchen and the werewolf is there, and it's just like, let's go, just puts up the fists and the pans and the knives and just starts beating down on a werewolf. And I love stuff like that. And one of the best scenes too, if you remember, around the campfire scene, instead of showing flashbacks, I don't know if they had money to show it or didn't have money to show the flashbacks, but I believe it's, if I'm remembering right, Sean Pertwee, the actor, sorry if I got that wrong, he is telling this really involved story.
Yes.
And it is so good. And that goes into the whole, we hear as writers, show, don't tell. And of course you're in a movie where everything is supposed supposed to be cinematic and you're supposed to show everything. And in the middle of this wonderful werewolf movie, there's a firelight and there's a guy telling a scary story. And it's riveting and his performance is great. The lines are great and it's shot great. And I'm like, that, I was like, that's wow.
I
They had a
don't
lot
think
of
Matt's seen Dog Shoulders.
Oh yeah, I've seen Dog Soldiers.
Oh, okay. I thought you didn't.
No,
you oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen,
and a great
yeah,
movie. And
yeah,
you always assume everyone has seen everything, but
yeah.
there's still people who haven't. And whoever listening or watching, if you haven't seen it, great film. Go.
Mm-hmm.
I had a
It's fun.
friend who was in the military, who was in the army, and he came running home one day with a VHS and was to my apartment and was like, "You got to watch this movie. This is the best movie I've ever seen in my life." And it
Oh
was
wow,
Dog Soldiers.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, so
Well, that's awesome. And when I was writing the script too, I was trying to, there's Hollywood and we always play fast and loose with reality, but I try to do as much, like I know I talk to a lot of soldier friends and like, is this dialogue right? I don't know if
Mhm.
any of my work will ever see the light of day, but like, is this dialogue right? Is this equipment right? And is this the way that it would happen? And it felt like obviously your friend felt that too, but
Yeah,
again, it is pure horror fantasy out there, but let's still get the details right. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
How would you
and
become a member of the Horror Writers Association?
I begged and cried and stayed out. No, they have I had a lot of friends that were in. Somebody I hadn't seen in a while, but I just had lunch with Courtney Joyner, writer director. He was in a bunch of other friends, and they used to meet up the road at the L.A. chapter anyway. Met, if you know Los Angeles, the Iliad bookstore, and they had the meetings. Lisa Morton, now a friend and terrific writer, Halloween expert, and she's got more awards and more books than I could ever dream of having. But she's one of the managers there, which is awesome. She just lives books, and so I came in on a few meetings, and I actually got in through my screenwriting. They have a structure. You can attend a few meetings if you're a writer. If you're you don't have to have been published. You can attend a few meetings. At a certain point, you need to join, and I'm forgetting the levels, but there are associate members. Eventually, to become an active member, you do have to either have produced screenplays or short stories of a certain amount, or sold a novel. It is definitely a professional organization founded by professionals, but there is a level of it too where we still welcome beginners, and there were the conventions were run by other people at one point, and it's been years ago now that the Horror Writer Association took over and put on the Stoker Con. It's us.
Mhm.
It's no longer the World Horror Conference or whatever it was. It's the Horror Writers Association, and part of that there are scholarships for people that you can apply to, and there's the Horror University if you go to the convention. And it was much smaller when I joined, and I don't have the numbers. I'm not official or anything, but I've heard that I think it's maybe 5 or 6 thousand people now. And the thing about that, I've said to many people over the years, and you may know from the show or just life in general, that horror people, writers, filmmakers, whatever, we're just all a bunch of nice people.
That is
And
true. That is,
yeah, and it's a way to get in. If I have to say, if again, you do have to have a certain level of professional to become an active member, but you don't have to. You can come in. There are mentorship programs where you can. I'm just starting out. I want to write this, and you can hook up with a professional mentor who will help you with your stories and everything. And I'm one of the few that there are a few that kind of goes both screenplay and prose. So, most people like are just writers or just, there's not a gigantic Hollywood presence in it, but there's
Mhm.
definitely a few people. So, but yeah, proud to be a member. And through that, I've got to meet some people I grew up reading, and I hang
That's
out with
cool.
them. And like I said, became friends with. I grew up reading Ray Garden. If you again, he's passed on now. Didn't know him
Mhm.
super well, but I got to meet him through it all. And then Dallas Meyer was Jack Ketchum. Got to meet him a few times, and just many people that come to the big conventions and stuff. And it's incredible, fascinating thing. And it's one of those where I came to it later in life, and I'm like, these are my people. Like
Yeah.
these are horror writers. Like, wow. And you go to a convention and you're sitting here with 1,000 people, and some have become, like I said, very, very close friends that I didn't know about. You discover new writers, and you get tips and tricks, and you help each other out. And it's kind of it's a nice thing. Not a lot of organizations do that.
Me
Hmm.
and Matt are kind of like the same way because we go to this. We have a horror con here in Minnesota. It's called Crypticon Minneapolis, and
Okay.
they have like vendors and celebrity guests and meet and greet and all that. It's a heyday, and
Yeah.
to me, it's like a big, huge family reunion because everybody loves each other. We look out for each other because the party after hours is like nuts.
Yeah, that's yeah. Nobody parties like horror people, and nobody parties like horror writers. I think there was one year we were in Vegas. It was the Stratosphere, and I think the whole thing we were about to get literally thrown out. Every single one of us. So the eighth time the security came, is like, shut up, and they're thinking, bunch of writers. Oh no, oh no. So,
Yeah.
yeah, party hard, but good times, good friends, and a lot of good education, like I said. And it's about promoting horror, not
Mm.
books and novels and editing and screenplays and everything. We even have a film contest every year at the Stoker Con. So, again, if you like horror, look into it. If you're a writer, and a lot of people aren't in it, I try to get more people in when I can. I know so many people in Hollywood that are known horror writers, and they kind of don't know that it exists. And
Oh.
it's a great place to be. It's nice to how many times in your life do you get to be around people that are just like you and have read the same weird things or and have the same weird thoughts that you do.
Well, and
Don't we all?
and it's
Yeah.
true. They're all everyone's with a couple of rare exceptions, but most everyone is super nice to it. So I've always been like remarkably nice, where it's like you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. All these years of going to the horror conventions, and it really is the kind of
Yeah,
just
they really are.
And
yeah,
that's how me and Matt met as a Crypticon too.
Oh,
that's right.
you met up there. Well, I did. I grew up in Indiana, and I still have family there, and go back. And Horror Hound, the magazine, and they also put
Mm.
on the conventions. And one year, like, oh, Horror Hound's in Indianapolis, so I'm just going to get a table and be a vendor. And a great convention, like you said, great people. I got to give the Horror Hound peeps real good credit because not only is it a good magazine and everything, but the convention ran really, really slick. I've been to a ton of them, and some were a little iffy, some places, but
Mhm.
great guests, great everything. But the best part was, my mom came with me.
Mm.
And so we're setting up my booth, and they didn't separate the writers, and like sometimes I think some of the conventions, artists alley and small press alley, they just
Yeah.
mixed everybody in at the time, and so there's makeup people next to me selling things, heavy
Yeah.
metal blasting. There's I think I forget on the other side was costumes, and then and everybody walking around and all the makeup and the weird. And my mom was the most straight, normal human being ever, but she's passed now, but she was just this wonderful, inquisitive human being. And just seeing the look on her face with my people, all these weird,
Yeah.
strange people walking by, and she wasn't judging, she was marveling. And she'd stop somebody with weird tattoos and go, "Oh my God, what is that?" Or a splatter T-shirt. And she didn't know a lot of the references. She knew some of them from watching a few with me and here and there. So she wasn't a big horror fan, but it was one of the happiest memories of my life that I got to take at the time she was probably 70 plus, and just hung
Oh,
out at the Horror Hound Festival, and it was a hoot. And people end up loving coming by and chatting with her too.
Mm.
that's
So
awesome.
take your mom with you, horror people. Run into it.
Oh, my mom won't last.
She wouldn't last.
She would not last. She was, I'm out.
But it was nice too. It's like, yeah, this is my world, because she knew, her and my parents knew what I was they'd see what I was
Mm.
watching, but they didn't. You can't watch that. That's too adult. They weren't those type of people at all.
Oh,
And sometimes they would sit down and watch it, maybe not understand it, but also the weird books and things. And there was probably a little, maybe they should have taken a few of the books away from me and stuff. But
yeah.
the novel is dedicated to them, and if we talk about that in a bit, you'll see it's very much a family story, both
Mhm.
good parts and very bad parts. But the parents enabled me to become a storyteller, and they didn't say, like I said, don't watch that or don't do this.
Mm.
They encouraged it, and
Mm.
it was I think a lot of people don't necessarily get that, and I'm very lucky to have had parents that even though they didn't understand it even remotely, they just said, "Hey, have fun, and as long as you don't blow anything up or really murder anybody, have fun."
That's really that my parents weren't always that way, so I can definitely speak for that. That would be a valuable thing to
Yeah,
have. But
yeah.
we have just a couple minutes left. Where can people check you out online, or where can they find your book and your stuff?
Well, Amazon's always the best place. It's become the marketplace. So
Mhm.
the novel, Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed, is on Amazon for Kindle and in print. It's also on Nook and for Kobo readers if people do that. And the anthologies are there also. I have full cast audiobooks of 18 Wheels of Horror, 18 Wheels of Science Fiction, and the two Hell Comes to Hollywood books. Those are on Audible. And also, all the books in various formats are on Amazon. And the Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed audiobook is in the works. I was lucky enough, a gentleman, Graydon Schlichter, who amazing audiobook talent. had done all my previous books, and he's kind of become a rising star in audiobooks, and he wasn't sure. He's like, oh, I don't know if I have time. And then he read the book and went, oh my God, I have to do this for you. I love it. So it's in the works right now with him. So I'll have, hopefully in a couple months, we'll have the audiobook for Whatever Happened to Uncle Ed also.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, Eric. And
Thank you.
whatever happened to Uncle Ed? And I'm going to go get the 18 Wheels of Science Fiction. That actually sounds really cool to me.
Yeah, great stories, and a lot of fun stuff, from funny to dark to wondrous to everything. I always try to put that in all the anthologies, to not just be, oh, these are all dark and horror. No, even in the horror, in 18 Wheels of Horror, there's a lot of fun, funny stories also. And and a lot of great, terrific writers. I'm lucky to have been able to work with, over all 4 of those books, to work with so many great, terrific writers that gave me their time and their heart and their ideas. And I'm humbled by that. They make me and make the big time books what they are. It's all about the writers, no matter what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.